So we just got back from the dog park with Knox. She's tired. She's sleeping in the car right now. Next, we're going to one of my favorite coffee shops, Slipstream on 14th Street. Grab a quick cup of coffee. That'll be the second of the day. And then we are going to go to the office, the Compass office, which is right down the street on 14th as well. I need to print off a few docs for a closing we just had.
To be honest, I don't know if you have the letters, if you have the paper facing up or down.
And also, we're going to do a little educational video on the power of buying real estate. Today, we are going to be talking about one of the biggest things that most people are afraid of with real estate, and it's knowing the benefits of owning real estate, right? So when you own real estate, you don't just buy it for shelter over your head. There's going to be other reasons that you purchase it, because we know that living situations, they're temporary and they're long-term, right? So how are we going to utilize these to make them long-term? So we're going to look at why do we purchase real estate? All right, so there's 4 reasons. First one, equity pay down, right? So what is equity pay down? So when you purchase a home, you're gonna have equity in the house from using your down payment. Now, on a monthly basis, when you make your mortgage payments, you have PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, right? That principal portion is going to be your equity. So let's just say that your mortgage is $2,000 a month. Right, so we have equity pay down, $2,000 a month. If you're buying it as a primary residence, typically it's going to be 25 to 30% of that mortgage is going towards your equity. Right, so let's use 25%. So that means that your equity every month in that property is going to increase by $500 a month times 12 months, $6,000 a year, right? So we have equity pay down, mortgage is going to be $2,000 a month, 25 to 30% of that mortgage is going to be going towards principal and equity, right, which is paying down that loan. The other 75 is going to be insurance, which is mandatory, taxes, which are mandatory, and the interest of the loan. So when you get a loan, that interest rate is going to be part of that 75%. But the principal is going to be $500 a month, because again, 25%, 12 months. So that means from owning that home, you are going to gain around $6,000 a year in equity, right? You own it for 30 years, eventually you pay off the entirety of that loan. You now own the property free and clear, but you still are responsible for insurance and taxes, right? Number 1, equity pay down. Number 2, so a lot of times this is not going to be for primary residence owners, this is going to be for investors, right? So it's going to be cash flow, right? Cash flow. So what is cash flow? Cash flow is the amount of money, your ROI, that you are collecting over top of your mortgage on a monthly basis. The positive income that property is producing. So let's just go back to our example. $2,000 a month is your mortgage. You have since moved out of this property and now you have turned it into an investment property, right? You have turned it into a rental. Let's just say it rents for $2,500 a month, right? So rental, get over here, $2,500, mortgage, $2,000. So that means your gross cash flow is $500 a month. Now, a lot of times, people don't count expenses, maintenance, CapEx towards your cash flow. So it's dependent. That's why it's considered your gross income. If we're talking net, we're going to subtract expenses and maintenance of the property as well. But for sake of argument, in this simple example, your cash flow is $500 a month, right? So now you own this property, you're getting $500 a month in equity pay down, $500 a month in cash flow. So now you have $1,000 a month in income from this property, not income, but in net worth generation, which is going to be over a 12-month period, $12,000 a year, right? So now your ROI has increased. All right, what is number 3? So number 3 is going to be your tax depreciation, right? So from owning real estate, you get huge tax benefits. So right now, the tax deduction is $12,000 a year, right? But from owning real estate, you can write off your taxes on an annualized basis, your interest, as well as anything, if you run a business through, you can write off the square footage. Obviously speak to a CPA about this and see what you can and cannot write off. But me personally, I can write off a percentage of my square footage of my mortgage because I run a business through my home. If you rent out a room, you can write off a percentage of the furniture, right? If you're doing repairs or need office supplies, you can write those off if and when you run a business through your home. So you can utilize your home to take even greater tax write-offs. So tax write-offs, right? This is going to be very, very important, especially for higher net worth individuals that have a high income, but need to find ways to decrease that income so they pay less taxes. And a lot of times with money, it's not about how much you make, but it's about how much you can keep, right? So finding ways to get those tax write-offs, and real estate is a great, great way to do that. All right, so we have equity pay down. We have cash flow. So now we have $12,000 a month in income. We have our write-offs, which at the end of the year is when we're going to get this big bump in. Hopefully we'll get a big tax break and increase and have a larger sum of money deposited into our account from those write-offs. Number 4, is going to be your appreciation, right? And this to me is just a cherry on top. So appreciation. So appreciation is where the market values your property and how much over the purchase price your property has increased in value. So let's just say we bought this property for $500,000 and you hold it for 10 years, right? You hold it for 10 years, so you have your equity pay down, you have your cash flow, you have your tax write-off for 10 years, and then you go to resell and now it's worth $600,000. So now your property has appreciated by $100,000 over 10 years. That's $10,000 a year. It's a pretty good return, right? So now we have $10,000 or $12,000 from equity pay down and cash flow a year, $10,000 from appreciation, then our tax write-offs. So appreciation again is going to be purchase price that you purchased the property at, and then when you do decide to sell, refinance, do a home equity line of credit, what the value of that property is based on the market, right? Based on the comparables of the property surrounding it, right? So to hone this in, the benefits of owning real estate, there's the four main benefits, except for obviously we need shelter over our heads, is going to be equity pay down, which is how much principal we're paying down on the mortgage on a monthly basis. Cash flow, so this is going to be more for investors or once your primary residence turns into an investment, right? Which is going to be the income that is in surplus or positive over the mortgage. Our tax write-offs, right? So tax write-offs are going to be what we can write off from that property utilizing the taxes and the insurance, and hopefully we're going to be running a business through that property as well, or finding ways to use the system to, again, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. And finally, the cherry on top, which really helps us in the long term when we are going to sell and or refinance or pull out our cash, is appreciation, right? So the value of the property, how much has it increased over the length of time that you've owned the property. We're going to be starting to do a lot more educational videos like this. We'll break down the 4 of these for future videos to get a little bit more specific on how to figure out whether you should purchase a property based on the cash flow, how to figure out what the equity pay down is going to be over the long term, how to figure out exactly what your tax write-offs will be, and we'll probably have a CPA come in and help us with that. And then appreciation, every market's going to be different, right? Certain markets are going to have a large appreciation. Certain markets will not appreciate, they're going to be cash flow plays. So when you're looking at real estate and deciding whether you should purchase an asset or not, take a look at equity pay down, cash flow, tax write-offs, and appreciation.
We've had kind of a low-key day today. We took Knox to the dog park, to the S Street dog park, to get her daily dose of exercise. She's still getting acclimated. We've gone, and I'm now on my 3rd cup of coffee. we came to the Washington Monument. Sometimes I come here, and this is where I do a lot of my business planning. So I'll sit down on the steps or right on the view of the Washington Monument and kind of plan out what I have to do for the week, what I have planned for the month, and also if I can generate any new business ideas in a sense of where I'm going to go with Burns Property Group, and also where I'm going with my real estate sales business in Washington, D.C. After this, I'm going to go to the gym. I need to get a workout in, and then hopefully we'll be able to get home and relax and watch some Netflix or maybe do a little reading. Who knows? But yeah, today's been a chill day. No showings this evening. None yet. Sometimes as a real estate agent, you're always on call. If I have clients that want to go see something that hits the market today, then maybe after 6 p.m. I can do that. But other than that, it's really just an admin day for me and little Knox. About to head into the gym, get a little workout in, do some boxing, and probably a Metcon, a CrossFit Metcon, and maybe some push strength stuff. We got about 45 minutes to an hour to get this stuff finished, so let's get into it.